Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Brickazoid's Den. Today was the release of Adventure Time Distant Lands, Episode 4, Wizard City, which was like the final episode for the show or the season. I don't even know if they're doing a season 2, I don't think they are, because I think they're doing the Fionna and Cake, but this is it. This is the final episode of, I would believe, the show, like I said. So yeah, it was fine. There was not much to it, really. I mean, I think with this one lacked something, and I can't explain it exactly, but I just can't think of the way to explain it. But basically what I'm thinking here is the BMO episode, which was episode 1 of this show, had the idea that that whole episode was a prequel to to Adventure Time. And then Obsidian had the music and the amazing songs and the very good backstory, along with filling in blanks and just seeing what happens after the finale of Adventure Time. And then Together Again had so much backstory, so much information, an incredible story, basically wrapped up Finn and Jake as characters, and then also brought us into when they became Shermie and Beth, for the future of Adventure Time, or the future of the Land of Boo, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, this one had nothing, really, besides showing us wizards again that we've seen before. I mean, it was great to see all these wizards again, but, you know, that's not anything compared to, I don't know, the whole prequel to the whole series, and all this backstory and all this filling in. There was not really a lot of, like, filling in storylines. The best you could do was a little bit of something at the end, which I will talk about at the end, that could relate to Together Again. But basically, I just don't think that this was a perfect ending to the show. I feel like if they ended with Together Again, that would have been amazing. That would have been literally perfect. But they ended with this. They decided to end with this one, and I don't know. I think they should have ended with Together Again. I think that would have been a better choice, because Together Again, I thought, was the best episode of Distant Lands, by far, in my opinion, because that one was just literally perfect for Finn and Jake. And maybe I'll even make like a whole explanation. Nah, it's kind of old. I'll just explain it right now. But basically, my idea, or what my thought process is for why I think that's the best one, is that in the main finale for the actual series, which ended in 2018, there wasn't a lot of Finn and Jake, really. Finn seemed to be kind of sidelined, especially toward the end when they were trying to fight Gold. And Jake, you know, he didn't really do a crazy amount either. And I was a little bit disappointed by that. But then, you know, this episode came out, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a perfect ending for Finn and Jake. This is basically how I look at it, is the show, Adventure Time, which ended in 2018, that finale was the conclusion to the show. But Together Again was the conclusion of Finn and Jake, which I thought was amazing. Like, it just kind of closed the book on those characters. It was almost like an epilogue for our two main characters that we've been following for years, since 2010. So I just love that episode. And this one, not so much. I'm not crazy about this one. I mean, again, it has some fun stuff in it. It's great to see the wizards again. It's great to see magic again, whatever. It has that little thing at the end with Together Again, but again, this is, like, when I say it's a little thing, I mean it's extremely small, very minuscule. And then, I mean, that's really about it. Yeah, again, I'm just trying to think of anything I could really talk about that would even relate to the show, relate to any backstory or anything, and I don't really see a lot. I mean, I don't really see how this sets up Peppermint Butler and Together Again or anything, you know? Because I think this is clearly after Obsidian, but this episode doesn't, like, because we see Peppermint, I'm just trying to explain this in proper words, we see Peppermint Butler in Together Again, and he's, like, at the kingdom. It looks like he's the new princess, whatever, the leader of the Candy Kingdom, because there's all, like, this magic around it as well. And I thought, like, maybe towards the end we get to see, like, how Peppermint Butler, like, goes back to the Candy Kingdom or something, and he kind of, like, takes it over after Princess Bubblegum passes away or something like that. That would have been a pretty cool ending. Didn't happen. We basically ended with a very dark joke, which was, I mean, it was, I know it was supposed to be funny, but, like, really dark. This whole episode was extremely, extremely dark. Lots of dying, and which is very weird for Adventure Time. And not, like, funny dying, like, real, like, actual characters who we followed in the episode got literally killed. So, we'll get into the episode here. Abracadaniel, we start off with Abracadaniel cleaning up a trophy case. Seems to be a custodian at this wizard school. The building begins to rumble a little bit, and we see Choose Goose is doing a deal with somebody behind a wall, so we can't see who he's doing the deal with. And he's selling his illegal moisturizer, which we saw, I believe, in Obsidian, I think. When Glass Boy was walking to the Candy Kingdom, I think he saw Choose Goose, and he was like, he did a rhyme about illegal moisturizer. I don't know. But basically, that's what this was. It kind of followed up to that part. And then Choose Goose just gets blasted. Completely what I originally thought was he died, because he just got blasted, and all that's left was his feathers. And then the person runs away with this illegal moisturizer. That's kind of like our opening almost, which is interesting. We move on to our opening credits, where we get kind of Pep-Butt on his way to Wizard City on the bus. These really, really well just drawn, or really, really pleasing designs of when the credits rolled and everything, which was really cool. Great to see. And then Pep-Butt runs through Wizard City. He meets a guy named Song Wizard. They do a little Wizard City song. Never mind, he turns out to be Con Wizard and stole Peppermint Butler's books. Then we see a new character named Kadebra, which is Abracadaniel's niece, as we later find out, getting bullied by some wizard students who we learn about. And then Pep cuts off Con Wizard's head using dark magic, which was pretty cool. Good to see that he still has his dark magic, but then that's kind of like basically just completely forgot about, but whatever. Anyways, the wizard police show up and tell the kids that dark magic is illegal, and then the bully kids kind of come over because they kind of saw what was going on and are really impressed with Pep-Butt about like his crazy magic ability. So then the bullies ask if he is related to Peppermint Butler, and they tell stories about how powerful he is. He's like this dark magic wizard guy who wiped out Wizard City or something, and now he's permabanned from Wizard City, so it's pretty crazy. They go to wizard school auditions in this next part, and they came across wizard police outlining what remains of Choose Goose, which we saw in the beginning, or the opening, with that deal there that Choose Goose was doing. We see Weaponhead, Brain Wizard, Ron James, and at this point an unknown wizard, who we later find out is Dr. Caledonius, I think her name was, are the audition judges. And then Spader, who is one of the bullies, impresses everybody with his magic, because, he's the cool kid, he's the super powerful star-studded student at the school. So he impresses everybody, and then Kadebra is up next. Magic isn't that very, very good, and I'm pretty sure so basically what happens is she takes out like a little like boombox or radio, and she plays music. I am pretty sure the music that she played was from the video game Adventure Time Finn and Jake Investigations. I am pretty sure I heard it somewhere, and I believe it was in that video game. Maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong if you played that game. I thought it was fun. I thought it was pretty fun. Anyways, not going to get sidetracked. Anyways, Kadebra is, I already explained this part with Abracadaniel is a groundskeeper and everything, so we'll move on then. Abracadaniel and Kadebra talk, and Abracadaniel keeps saying that they only laugh because you're different, and then he goes, so stop being different. And then he starts freaking out because he doesn't want his niece to be bullied or whatever, so. Anyways, Pep auditions and conjures a flame from the Nightosphere, and then Weaponhead has to save everybody from this Nightosphere skull head that tries to burn everything down because Peppermint Butler did the spell wrong. Pep then gets a, I think it was called a skink badge, And instead of the salamander badge, I don't know, it's just... The salamander badge is like the higher up students who can do really well, and the skink badge is for the lower students who are not very good. So then Pep vomits a spirit adult Peppermint Butler, which was really, really weird, which we learn about later why that's happening. But yeah, he runs away, and he vomits up a spirit version of Peppermint Butler. And then we have Kadabra seeing it. She actually sees Peppermint Butler come out of Pep's mouth. And then Kadabra tries to go to Brain Wizard to go get help. Pep stops her and says that he was cursed. And we learn that Peppermint Butler cursed himself to be basically within himself. Like his dark self within little baby Pep. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's going to get confusing with all this Peppermint Butler versus Pep stuff. That's why I decided to kind of have the different names just to make it easier, hopefully. So basically the idea is that Peppermint Butler needs to start all over with dark arts and learning magic, because he was, if you don't remember from the original series, Adventure Time, he was hit with, Peppermint Butler was hit with Dum Dum Serum from Gumbald's thing, and he became a little baby, and now he has to learn all of his magic and stuff again, so. Kadabra thinks that Pep's uncle is Peppermint Butler instead of him actually being Peppermint Butler, because he can't actually say that he's Peppermint Butler, because Peppermint Butler is like a war criminal or like some sort of criminal or absolute evil, terrible Dark Lord that tried to destroy Wizard City or something like that. It's just such a crazy thing. Anyways, a wizard uses. We cut to a screen or a shot where a wizard is using the illegal moisturizer that they got from Choose Goose, but we don't know who it actually is. And then the camera can, or you know what I mean by when I say camera. Like the shot continues to move along, and we actually see Choose Goose stuck in a glass bottle without feathers. He's looks like a chicken. So, anyways, Pep walks into his first class, which is transmutation. The bullies don't like Pep because he is a skink, not a salamander. So, you know. Of course, classic bullies story versus underdog. So Pep has to sit with Kadabra. I keep wanting to say Kadabra, and I can't. Kadabra. And then Pep, you know, of course, he's Peppermint Butler. He's a butler. He cleans the seat before he sits on it. And then Kadabra notices that Pep's book looks a lot like hers. Bufo is the teacher here. I think he's played by like Bill Hader or something. Okay, so I was right. It was Bill Hader who voiced Bufo this time around, which was really cool to see. Anyways, Bufo used to be a dark wizard, as we remember, and then he threw Force Wizard and Laser Wizard under the bus to be free. Most likely why they don't make an appearance in this episode. Anyways, Larry, who is one of the bullies, gets turned to stone after saying that he doesn't want to hear about Bufo's boring backstory. He gets turned into a rock. Well, sorry, you know. Anyways, Bufo's lesson 1 is about eggs, which eggs are susceptible to transmutation, hence why they use them. Bufo didn't buy enough eggs, so everyone needs to pair up. And of course, Pep has to pair up with Kadabra. He doesn't really like Kadabra much. Anyways, Kadabra does a magic trick because she doesn't really use traditional Adventure Time magic. She likes to use, actually, magic similar to us humans, which would be, you know, rabbit out of a hat, card tricks, things like that. Kadabra doesn't really want to use the regular magic that they usually use. So, Kadabra does a trick, and Pep-Butt doesn't really want to be with her, so he thinks he'll kind of just crush his other classes, and hopefully Kadabra won't get in the way of that. So, we get Enchantment with Life-Giving Magus, Astral Projection with Bird Zerd, Transfiguration with Brain Wizard, Divination with Dimension Wizard, along with Professor Little Dude, which is Finn's hat that was touched by the life-giving Magus, and Little Dude became alive. Apparently they're besties, which is pretty cool. I like to see that. So Spader is excelling in all of his classes. Pep-Butt's not doing crazy well, and we get lunchtime. Someone smashed the trophy case and stole one of the cups, and Abracadaniel will be blamed for it because he's the custodian. That's what the conversation between Kadabra and Abracadaniel is. Pep sits next to Kadabra. I keep wanting to say Kadabra. Pep sits next to Kadabra, and because he has nowhere else to sit, because everybody doesn't really like him. And Pep has to fix Kadabra so that she can be more formal while eating her lunch. Very Peppermint Butler thing to do. Then Pep says how he is supposed to do she's supposed to do well but everyone's against him, making it more difficult, and he just kind of, vents to Kadabra. And Kadabra mentions that she isn't against him, so why be so down or hard on himself? So anyways, we get to more classes, which is really cool. I love these class stuff. We get Ron James's potion class, configuration with weapon head, and then there's also, every time they kind of show a different class, there's, a little list that comes up. So I just want to mention the last 2 classes that were on that list, which was Herbalism with Leaf Man, love Leaf Man, and Illusions with Bo. From the, I know a lot of these wizards from the Thanks for the Crab Apples Giuseppe episode of Adventure Time, which was amazing, by the way. Giuseppe is the man. Anyways, the main one that we kind of focus here on is Magic History with Dr. Caledonius. She isn't there, and then she runs in and tells the kids that history is happening all around them, and then they have to continue and run with her. She tells the kids that dark wizards took over the school and turned it into a temple to worship an unknown person. Little did the kids know that Dr. Caledonius knows who it is. Anyways, Dr. C trips over a tool that harvests mistletoe, and then they basically excavate the grounds while a secret hidden wizard watches with wrapped hands. Basically, they start excavating the grounds looking for more relics and other artifacts that they can kind of have fun with. Anyways, we cut to Pep and Kadabra at a cafe. Kadabra compares Pep to his egg homework, which he has to basically turn this egg and or transmutate this egg. I don't exactly know how to describe it very well. But anyways, Pep tries to cast the most powerful spell, which doesn't work, and then Kadabra plays a trick on Pep with a sleight of hand. Kadabra asks Pep to try out a spell, and it works successfully. Spader goes to the cafe, walks in, shows off his egg to Pep, which is the spell that Pep was trying to do. Didn't work, but Spader got it to work because, he's the special student, whatever. So anyways, Spader's egg destroys Pep's egg, which was really mean. And then we have kind of like this earthquake action at the cafe, very similar to the beginning or the opening of this episode with the Abracadaniel custodian scene there. So Bufo leaves, revealing he has the wrapped hand. So Bufo was the secret wizard who was looking at Dr. Caledonius and her students. So then Pep was going to stand up to Spader, but then he has to vomit Peppermint Butler in the bathroom. Peppermint Butler yells at Pep to do better, and we learn that Blaine, who is also one of the bullies, was actually in the bathroom while Pep was talking to Peppermint Butler, and he was listening. So then we cut to Spader walking home, and he gets taken. I'll explain later. I was going to say something else, but I'll explain when we get to that part. We get a flashback to Kadabra, who must focus on lighting a candle in front of her mother, because her mother wants to do really well in school, and Kadabra doesn't really care. She doesn't really care. She doesn't really want to learn magic. Anyways, Kadabra wakes up, and we learn it was all a dream. Pep isn't there when she wakes up. Pep was already in class, and he was up all night using dark magic to kind of fix the egg. So then we have a flashback to Pep using dark magic, which was a pretty cool little scene. Spader isn't in class today, which was interesting, and Bufo reads a letter from Spader saying that he wants to quit magic, but it is clearly fake, completely fake. And Blaine steps in and says that it can't be true because Spader really is very dedicated to learning magic. Pep, quote-unquote, cries about Spader's leave, and now everybody loves Pep after he shows off his dark magic egg, even though it's not legal to use dark magic, so he had to kind of keep it a secret. Pep is told to take Spader's old seat with this very great scene where we literally get the outline of Pep's butt cheeks going onto the seat as Blaine watches. Anyways, Blaine is suspicious of Peppermint Butler, of course, and then the egg turns into a black hole explosion, and Pep then has to go vomit Peppermint Butler once again. Pep has to get Blaine off of his case now because, Blaine's not really into him anymore. And then we have Kadabra and Pep using a location spell to hopefully find Spader. They use the napkin that Spader threw at Pep to conjure the location spell. The location spell turns into a butterfly and punches Pep. At first I was like, what the heck does that mean? But eventually I got it after seeing another character who I will mention when we get to that character again in this list here. So anyways, like I said, the location spell turns into a butterfly, punches Pep in the face. Pep then runs away, and Kadabra also leaves. Blaine sneaks into Pep's dorm. Pep vomits Peppermint Butler. Peppermint Butler yells at Pep. Pep bumps into Dr. Caledonis, who her hair is very similar to the shape of a butterfly. Bump, bump, bump. Anyways, Dr. Caledonis buries all the artifacts so that the students can have a good time. So basically, when she tripped over the axe thing that would harvest mistletoe, the tool that would harvest mistletoe, it was basically a fake, just so that the students could have a good time. You know what I mean? So then Dr. Caledonis encourages Pep to not kind of give up and don't listen to all these kids who are just kind of making fun of him. And Pep takes that, I would say he takes that pretty literally, and he breaks into Bufo's study after remembering Bufo was a dark wizard. Pep is going to frame Bufo for Spader's disappearance so that all the heat can get taken off of him. And Pep kind of goes through the information in his mind and begins to question if Bufo actually killed Spader. And then he sees Bufo sitting in a chair in the office or the study. He goes up to him, and Bufo deflates. Bum, bum, bum. So then Blaine bursts in with his wizard police uncle, and they catch Pep. Blaine knows Pep is Peppermint Butler because there was a scrapbook that I guess Pep brought to school, and it had all pictures of Peppermint Butler. So it's pretty safe to assume that Blaine got this one right. Anyways, Peppermint Butler is now banned from has been banned from Wizard City for a while. So then he becomes arrested, or Pep becomes arrested. Pep lied to Kadabra about being Peppermint Butler's nephew, because as we know, he's actually Peppermint Butler. And then he takes one of Kadabra's smoke bombs and escapes the captivity, whatever. So then people continue to search for Peppermint Butler, and Dr. Caledonis and Kadabra don't think Peppermint Butler actually killed Bufo or Spader. They both come to agreement that he's innocent. They gotta go make him innocent. We see Pep is hiding out in a dumpster, and Kadabra finds Pep using a location spell. Kadabra and Pep discuss Bufo's findings, and they must prove Pep is innocent. Pep remembers that he found a large cup that Bufo was drinking out of. It spills, an ant drinks it, and this ant explodes. So then Dr. Caledonis arrives and asks Kadabra if she found Pep. Kadabra used a spell to change Pep's appearance, but Dr. Caledonis sees past the illusion, but she trusts Pep, so it's fine. So then Kadabra hands the chalice to Dr. Caledonis, and we learn that this chalice is the Chalice of Kokontepi or something like that. I didn't exactly know how to spell that. Anyways, it's apparently a powerful relic. Once it's returned to its rightful place, everything will be A-okay. Blaine catches them during this conversation, and Dr. Caledonis freezes Blaine before he can call the wizard police. They run into that hole that Dr. Caledonis dug, where she put all the artifacts, and they are led into a giant room with the bones of a creature around it, kind of surrounding it. There's like a rib cage, and there's like the head of the creature. I was really excited for a moment, but it wasn't anything, because I thought it was going to be a lich thing, and kind of like explain how the lich actually got to the dead world. I was wrong, it was fine, whatever. Anyways, moving on. So then, Spader's corpse, Spader's skeleton, is literally sitting in the throne where the chalice must go. So that's pretty dark. Basically, a kid died, and his bones are being put on this throne. Spader's dead forever. Anyways, hooded wizards come from the sides, chanting after Pep places the chalice within its holder. We learn that Dr. Caledonis is evil. I kind of suspected this from the beginning, just because, it's never the one who you expect. So, and plus, Dr. Caledonis is a brand new debuted character in this episode. So my guess is that she would be. There's something going on with her. Is basically my guess. Anyways, Dr. Caledonis removes her cloak, revealing a tattoo of a demon Peppermint Butler on her back. And then she places one of the robes on as well. Then we have Brain Wizard, Dimension Wizard, Birdzard, and the Coffee Wizard guy, who I later learned his name is Portable Wizard, I think his name is. I don't know, he worked at the cafe. He was like the guy that was pouring all the coffee. And Dr. Caledonis are like this evil cult, basically. They're in the true heart of Wizard City, the tomb of Kokontepi. Anyways. Basically, Dr. Caledonis explains that usurpers of Wizard City hid his body to deny and suppress the darkness that had been magic's original source. So we know that magic's original source is actually from darkness, which is interesting. The heart burst, releasing this liquid called the I-Core, I think, into Wizard City, and they took Spader to use him as the first test subject. It was a failure, hence why he died. Once again, adults literally killed a child. But anyways, Bufo tried to use the I-Core for himself. Didn't result in greatness because his body was basically just deflated. He just died, basically. But his little tadpole throat things, I don't know what they're called, actually survived. So he's basically alive, but kind of dead. Anyways, the Chalice, we learn, is Peppermint Butler. So Peppermint Butler must become the most powerful wizard of them all, and Kadabra tries to convince Peppermint Butler to not take the liquid, or the I-Core. She is taken, and she may become the new host of Bufo's tadpole throat things. Pep travels into his own head and talks with Peppermint Butler, who tells him to drink the I-Core, but he isn't completely convinced. Pep does drink it, grows huge into like this crazy big thing. It reminded me a lot of one of Golb's creatures from the final episode of Adventure Time. So then we have this fight between Peppermint Butler and these 4 wizards. They basically all die, and then we have a Dr. Caledonis versus Pep fight. Dr. Caledonis explodes after having the I-Core fall into her mouth on accident. Pep grows stronger and more evil, attacking Kadabra. Kadabra does a magic show for a giant evil Pep. Pep gets super gut punched. He pukes up the I-Core and goes back to being regular Pep. Pep then removes Peppermint Butler from himself by tugging on the spirit, like Link, I guess. I don't know. Then Peppermint Butler's right to roam around Wizard City has been invoked, I guess, because he got rid of the Dark Wizards in the city. So now basically Peppermint Butler's allowed to be in Wizard City. He's a good guy now. And then the Weapon Head the Third takes over as the new headmaster, because Brain Wizard was the original headmaster. Brain Wizard was an evil one. Brain Wizard's now dead. Fiend. Anyways, now Pep is a part of the Salamander class, but he turns it down so that Pep and Kadabra can, kind of be in the same grade. They can hang out now. And they turn Larry, who was one of the bullies that got turned to the rock, back into a person rather than a rock. And then we have this really dark thing that was played off as a joke, I think, where Larry asks to see Spader again, because now Larry has eyes so he can actually see him. But we all know Spader died. Yeah, kind of dark. So, anyways, that was pretty much about it for this main part in the episode. But it's also a little post-credit scene as well. So, okay, I just want to quickly touch upon this little post-credit scene. Basically, a barely living Choose Goose takes Bufo's tadpole things, and we learn that Choose Goose becomes dark and corrupt. Now, the only reason why I think this is kind of interesting, well, not kind of interesting, it had something to do with, like, connecting everything together, is that this could be the reason why Choose Goose was in the first Dead World, and Together Again, and there was just kind of like a little connection there, was because he was actually like a dark and corrupt evil character now. So that could have been the explanation for the first Dead World thing. Anyways, I just wanted to touch on that really, really quickly. That was pretty much it. I mean, again, definitely I think maybe my least favorite here. I don't know, I wasn't as invested in this one as I was the other ones, because I just feel like it didn't really have anything that contributed heavily to connecting everything together and to kind of wrapping up the whole story, because I think that Distant Lands was made to wrap up Adventure Time completely. And it didn't. Or this episode didn't, sorry. I think Obsidian did a great job with just being like, Princess Bubblegum and Marceline are still going to be alive, but this is kind of like a good conclusion for their story, and not too much happens after. But that also leaves room for, if they ever wanted to do a Marceline and Princess Bubblegum, not show, but like just add more to their story later on, and they could basically just kind of fill in the blanks from Obsidian up until their time of death, which might be a little while. Anyways, and then with BMO, we learned that's a prequel, and that episode, I think, was originally my least favorite, but it still was good, but I think this one just kind of became my new least favorite, and I think that considering BMO was actually considered a prequel, I think that's what really brought it up a couple notches for me. And then Together Again, I mean, I already explained this, definitely my favorite by far, by miles. That one was just perfect to me, and I thought it just explained everything, it set up everything, it basically gave you the transition from Finn and Jake to Shermie and Beth, perfect. And again, this one didn't really do much for me, it didn't really do a lot. So, yeah, that's pretty much about it. I'm really excited for Fionna and Cake, though, because originally I would have rather have Ice King or Simon be one of the episodes of Distant Lands, but now I'm kind of understanding that that's maybe why they didn't do it, was because he's going to be in the Fionna and Cake show. Was that Simon was going to be in the Fionna and Cake show, which we already know. So, once again, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to talk about, was just this episode of Distant Lands. If you enjoyed that video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, comment YouTube stuff. I will see you later.